My name is Cruz, and I'm a guitarist, and I have a home studio. It's not a very elaborate home studio, it's moderate, but it's probably slightly above average because I have outboard gear. And if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you want to know more about this very desk that I'm using right here, right now. About 7 months ago, I decided to redo my home studio. The purpose of that was to start incorporating outboard gear. And being that I've had this desk for about 7 months now, I think it's time for me to give you an updated review, a proper review of what I actually think of this desk and should you buy one. I had to decide on what my needs were. Did I want to have a more elaborate desk that will allow me to ultimately introduce more outboard gear than I probably would ever need? Or was I going to stick to the plan of incorporating a few pieces of gear that could get me the tones that I needed without, going overboard? In other words, how much rack space do I actually need? If you are searching for a desk, you know that prices vary like crazy, but we can all agree that there's a certain threshold, meaning the bare minimum of what we will normally find out there. And all of a sudden, you'll find a link to the Monoprice desk, which seems to be too good to be true. So I thought for the price, it was worth at least trying it out. It was shipped pretty well. It was an extremely heavy box, but packaged well. The desk wasn't damaged at all. And it also came like lightning fast. I think I got it in like 2 days after ordering it. But when it came time to build it, man, that was a pain in the butt. Probably some of the worst instructions that I've ever dealt with. I'm talking about like worse than like IKEA instructions. Really bad. But what saved the day was their website. You see, the community of people who have purchased this desk have all contributed to the customer review section or the frequently asked questions section. Reading that got me through some of the difficulties I was facing with the lack of detail in the instructions and got me through the building process. Some of the challenges include the keyboard tray. The tracks themselves come already together and you have to separate them, and there's just nothing in the instructions on how to do that. And then the second thing that was kind of a big deal, but kind of not at the same time, and that's a support system that is included in the build for the rack mount area. If you have oversized units like this Pultic EQ or my Warm Audio stuff, they take up the entire length of this rack unit space, and you have to remove that support. This piece right here, this goes behind both of the racks. Basically a support for it, which is fine, but there are two issues you're gonna run into. You see the top portion of the desk, which is also the rack, is only about 9.5 inches in depth. That means that this piece literally gets in the way and stops the unit from sitting inside the rack all the way through. But once the desk was built, and I've got everything situated and put in place, I have to say, it was perfect. Now, there's just some things that I personally did to customize it to fit more of my needs, like installing risers to lift the desk up a little bit more so that the keyboard tray could not hit my knees when I'm sitting down and playing keyboard, or me buying a full-size desk mat for the top itself. That's just a preference, especially because as a guitarist, I oftentimes review guitar pedals and I place them right here on this desk. So I use a desk mat to stop the pedals from sliding all around my desk. Now, I will say this much, I'm not very rough with my equipment. I don't need to pull the desk out of where it's from all the time, so it doesn't see the kind of wear and tear that maybe it might see in other studios. But I still think that for less than $300, you're getting a very, very good quality desk that will serve you well for a very long time. Really, the only cons I see is that you won't be able to really grow if you're looking to develop or branch out into a bigger format in terms of outboard gear. You only have 3 unit rack spaces on each end of this thing. And when you have larger units, you see how much space that already eats up. So I literally filled up all of my space within the first few weeks of owning the desk. And it's a little bit limiting in that way. But it also keeps you humble. I have a modest home studio. I mainly do guitar work and film YouTube videos every single week in here. So anything more than this would have probably been overkill, especially for the size of my room. In other words, I give this desk my full stamp of approval. If you're in a similar position as me with your needs, with your budget, with what you are going to install into the desk, I just don't see how this thing won't knock it out of the park. It's been an amazing addition to my studio. If you enjoyed this video and this type of content and you want to see more content like this, please feel free to check out some of my other videos which will appear on the screen right now. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think, like the videos, continue watching, it means a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week.